the awareness starts to come as soon as I get into a dangerous situation in my dreams, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I had maybe three, maybe like in 1 week I had like three different scenarios of drowning.
Mm.
And then every time I drowned, I was like, I'm waking up, you know?
Right.
Or if someone was grabbing me, or I remember I had a dream one time about like I don't know, my stepfather was doing something to me and he was like so huge. And it was like I wasn't a kid, but
Right.
I was still like I was like a little kid, a grown person in a little kid's body, and I was like trying to fight back, and I couldn't do
Yeah, feeling
anything.
helpless almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was definitely getting manhandled, but like then when it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can win this, then it's like, all right, time to wake up, you know?
Yeah, and again, as much as lucid as I have been or can be, the subconscious still reminds you sometimes that it's in control.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are times where I cannot remove myself from a situation, or in that scenario, I am a slave to my subconscious,
Mm,
and it's always a good reminder of that.
mm,
That there's going to be a limit to control,
mm,
and I want to believe somehow that that's it's the way it's supposed to be. Your subconscious is trying to help you, and if
mm,
you're always in control, you're not really helping yourself by
right,
not letting go sometimes.
right.
But I had a dream scenario where we were in, like, if you could take like a wash, where you wash your car, those little bins, but they all had garage doors,
Mm-hmm.
and me and another superhero guy were getting into our superhero car, like the Batmobile,
Okay.
and the garage door was coming up, and this giant, big superhero bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
he came through the garage, rips the garage
Mm,
door open, comes in, he rips the door off,
mm.
and proceeds to rip my buddy in
Oh,
half.
wow.
And he's huge, and in this dream I have superpowers,
Mm,
but I know I cannot beat this guy.
mm, mm,
There, I've already kind of triggered my mind that he's going to beat you,
mm.
and so I get out of the car, and the only way out is to run through a wall, and so I have to use
Oh,
my super strength to bust through a wall, and he's just walking through the walls like
yeah.
it's nothing.
Right.
And
Shit.
sure enough, in that scenario, I got outside finally, and I did the levitation away because
Oh,
I
yeah.
and I scenario I was like, that subconscious character will beat me, and I
Wow.
have to just go, all right, I can't fight you.
So do you think well let me ask you this. There's so in one situation, like this was the one situation, right? You never see this again. You never see this
Not
thing
not
again.
not played out in that scenario, right?
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
I have seen the subconscious. When I was younger, the terror was a darkness that would chance enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
And as a child, it was always this darkness that wasn't just black. The black actually had mass. It was beyond darkness. And
Mm,
as a child, whenever I'd see this, be it going down a staircase or going by some type of, it was always in some type of a tomb or opening. The darkness was so creepy to me that I could feel that spine go up my spine. And
wow.
that was this thing that seems like it reappears or reinvents itself throughout my life. And maybe it's the night terrors I had as a child, or it takes form as this giant bad superhero.
Mm,
But this part of the subconscious, which I don't understand, the subconscious, I don't know where it takes place in time and space, and if times are relevant.
mm,
But it is kind of interesting to see what's inside of us that
mm,
creates those places.
mm,
But yeah, there is always, I am always reminded, if not nightly, but on the occasion, that there is something else in control of that world.
mm.
Not to get all metaphysical or strange, but I
Please
think that
do.
we all felt that,
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah. So so even though you had some level of control, well, you had powers, but you were not necessarily in control of the universe.
Right. I have controls in little
Ah,
scenarios, but there's some other underlying
ah.
force that really
Mm,
has control of your life in a
mm,
sense.
mm,
Um, and I've had that repeated theme, a reminder on the occasion. It doesn't happen often,
mm.
but it's enough to send that chill up your spine, like, "Ooh, I
Wow.
am not alone in this place that you
Shit.
feel like you should be."
Wow.
Uh, but it's. I think there's something refreshing about that too, though.
Mm,
That's um, yeah, I mean, I don't elaborate on it too much because it's hard to put words to everything. So I
Mm,
just kind of let some things ride,
yeah.
you know.
Because I mean, I can imagine if you were in a position where you had this complete 100% control over everything, it will probably get super boring pretty fast.
Right,
And and then maybe there would be some sort of temptation to want to stay there. I guess if you wanted to stay there, then it wouldn't be boring. But like, if you were like, here I'm God,
right.
and so why go be a part of the real world or like,
Might be hard to get out of bed sometimes, or you
yeah,
find yourself, yeah, maybe slacking on responsibilities because in your world you're God, and in the
mm,
real world you're human. But
mm,
yeah, it makes sense. Maybe that's a part of how the subconscious also protects you because you have to be conscious again. You have to be coherent again.
yeah,
Um, but I wanted to go back a little bit. You were talking about drowning,
hmm,
and I remember one of the early times when I was drowning, and I was weighted down. There was no way I was going to make it.
mm,
I couldn't wake up again,
mm,
but I was like, you know what? You can breathe underwater.
mm,
And so I began breathing underwater is something that I'm really pretty good at.
mm,
But what it reminded me was I was staying with my friend Mylan. This was probably in my mid late teens, and we were on a boat. And I spent the night at his house. He let me sleep on his bed. He was sleeping in a sleeping bag on the floor. And I woke up. We were on a boat, and Mylan had fallen off the boat.
mm.
And I woke up and I was like, "Oh wow, that was really." And leaned over, and Mylan's on the floor going, catching his breath. And I
Wow.
woke up and I said, "Were you drowning?" And Mylan woke up and said, "Yes, I was drowning."
Oh,
And it was one of those moments where it's messed with me for years, thinking, were we somewhere in it all, somehow influencing each other
mm,
in this sense of dreaming? He
mm,
couldn't mean much. He couldn't remember much more outside of falling in the water. I
mm.
remember a boat and a party and him falling over.
Oh,
And it,
wow.
but yeah, I woke up to him. You could hear him
Mm,
catching his breath as he was sleeping, and I
mm.
woke him up. That really stuck with me for a long time. Like this thing. Like I don't. I'm not gonna say you can cross dream. I'm not gonna say that. But just
Well, it's interesting to
weird.
think about because, and maybe it would be crazy to think that maybe everybody's going to the same place in their dreams.
It's something to think that our in that world of subconscious, what we understand about time and
Mm,
matter,
mm,
not that it's identical, but we are so open and susceptible to um, when we're in a close group, or maybe if you have a significant other that you sleep with, that there aren't times that you might not influence each other, but in that subconscious,
mm,
to completely exist together, I wouldn't say that's possible.
mm,
Some form of telepathy,
mm.
whatever. But it was that moment, and honestly, since then, I haven't had another one that was that like slap in the face, like.
Wow. Yeah.
But it stuck with me. It was just that it was that interesting.
Yeah. That is interesting actually. Wow. And so but in his dream he was not lucid.
He was not lucid. It took me asking him if he was drowning. Then he started to remember
Mm,
that was drowning because I woke him up so abruptly
mm,
because I didn't know. But he couldn't remember much more out of the fact that he was definitely drowning.
mm.
And that was all he could remember at the time. But yeah, I was like, "Were you on a boat? And
Mhm.
was there a party?" And he's like, he goes, "I can't tell you, man. I don't remember any of that."
Yeah, yeah.
But that was a really, really
What it
interesting
could have
story.
done. Yeah. Damn, man.
Another one that's really creeped me out over the years too is the sense of deja vu.
Mm,
I've had multiple accounts in the reality of remembering when I dreamed about it, and I get that sense of deja vu,
yeah.
where I was sleeping in a guy's car, and in my dream I woke up and there was a bus on the side of the road on fire, like a school bus,
Hmm.
and I came to and I was like, oh man, I just had this horrible dream that there was a bus on fire, and within a few minutes we passed a bus on the side of the road. It wasn't on fire,
Okay.
but it very still that's chilled the spine. Like whoa, it was
Mm-hmm.
very similar to the thing where I've had these deja vu moments, not usually that close.
Mm-hmm.
I had sometimes you don't even know you're having deja vu. You know that moment you're there and you go, wow, I feel like I've been here before. There's a part of me that wonders that if you haven't in some sense dreamed of that moment
Mm.
prior to it ever happening.
Mm,
And if it wasn't precise or exact, just enough for your memory to go,
mm,
whoa, I feel like I've been here before. And
mm-hmm,
I don't know if there's any proof or studies on this because it's hard to make anything proof or studies
mm,
on the subconscious.
mm.
But to think that the sense of deja vu is really just remembering, feeling like remembering a dream that you had
That's
that's
fine.
reminded you of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's
That's
pretty amazing.
yeah, yeah. And maybe um, we I assume that the amount of time that passes in a dream may not be the amount of time that we think that it is.
Right.
So maybe you could have these long scenarios that could only be taking a second to have a whole, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly.
And so yeah, it's really wow. This
Chances.
is it's mind-boggling when you think about how much shit.
And it's really it's to think of how important sleep is. We know that we need it to reboot. We know we need it to rest. We know that it's important for dumping excess information in our minds, to clearing, or sometimes even some people even get refreshed or solve issues. Yeah, the subconscious and dreaming itself is such an amazing world that we all get to experience together
Hmm.
at some point. But it's not something that's easily studied or understand because it happens in the subconscious.
Yeah.
So it's all theory, it's all maybes,
Hmm.
but it's we all have that in common. It's something pretty amazing, that we're so used to what we can touch and feel, and we think time is this 24 hours. We know it's around our star. Really, in the end, it's really all that matters. And
Hmm.
what we time is our place in it. But
Hmm.
to think in the subconscious, you can remove the stars.
Hmm.
You can move the planet moving around and spinning, and that there is some sense of a different realm of time.
Hmm.
Like you said, you can have a dream that feels like it's 30, 40 minutes, and if you wake up and look at the clock, it's been like 5 or 10.
Hmm. Hmm.
Vice versa, 5 hours have gone by, and your dream seems like it lasted 2 minutes.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Did you have you ever solved any real world problems from like or came to any realizations or learned something in the dream that you were then able to apply in your real life?
I've had a few moments. I'm a graphic artist, a designer, for my profession. So there have been times when I've dreamed of really amazing pieces or artwork or things, and I've been able to hold on to bits and pieces of those to apply to my profession. Um, honestly, there have been some pretty eye-opening moments and dreams that have helped me understand who I am and my place in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but have I been able to solve anything? No, I think there's just you can't you can it's so hard to solve by yourself. When you're by yourself, you can come up with ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever solved anything because that takes that relation and bouncing off someone else and
Right.
that collaboration of that. But I do believe that through dreaming, I've become a better vessel for those moments in reality.
Mm.
That through some dreams and emotional things I've learned about myself, I'm now more available and susceptible to listening, hearing, and understanding, or having some feedback. But yeah, I haven't solved anything outside of maybe some personal growth.
Right, right. Well, this is kind of what I mean. Like, like if it helps you, I mean, obviously, what you said about with having the sex with the people, and then it changed or helped shape the way that you viewed your relationship with people, and had
Right.
to come. Yeah, so I can see how it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to have you want to be who you are in all realms of existence.
Hmm.
Right now, being conscious and subconscious, and
Hmm.
that was a real big part of realizing that I wanted to be the best I could be dreaming as
Hmm.
well as I could be as a human being.
Right on.
Because there was a period where I was an out of control, immature dreamer, like woohoo, I got all these powers, but that's not reality. You
Right,
have to
right,
keep that balance.
right.
Yeah.
Interesting.